Let's see, this thing is locked. All right, I think we're all set. So,
Cool.
go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Spencer. I went to Flagler College with Philip, and at that time, I was studying strategic communication, hospitality, and tourism with a minor in media production and journalism. And I just finished up my time living in Paris, where I was pursuing my master's degree in global communication with a focus in digital cultures and industries. And I'm moving to Pennsylvania next month to start to become a professor in communications. It's just an adjunct professorship, but still very exciting.
Man, that's a lot you got planned there. I mean, it's a lot to take in, but I didn't know you were back in the country so soon.
Yeah, I kind of had to get ready for after I graduated, and since my French wasn't like at the level that I wanted it to be, I wanted to find something that would keep me within academia. And so like I applied for a few other positions, but like when I was talking to the person that was hiring for the adjunct professorship in at the community college, it aligned so much with like what I want to do in the long term that I decided to just put all my eggs in that basket.
True, I got you. So, let's go ahead and start. What first got you interested in digital communication?
Uh, I think that originally what I wanted to do was I wanted to go into esports. So I wanted to become like an esports like sales and marketer. But the more I learned about communication and the more I got involved with like the Black Student Union, Presidential Leadership Academy, I realized like, wow, there's a lot more to communication, like digital communication and like the new age of communication that could be studied and like talked about within academia. And so I just continued pursuing that.
Okay. So you already knew what you had to do in order to get to where you want. Because I didn't know you wanted to do esports. I guess during our time, I didn't ask you everything that you wanted to do. That was my fault. So
Oh,
at
you're
least,
good.
but at least I know now.
It was like a good 1 year like attempt at esports. I did esports for the school actually. And I was playing League of Legends with them and I realized like they're cool people and like it was fun to do, but I just didn't see myself continuing with that as much as like some of the other interests that I had to do or that I had wanted at the time and that I still have today. So I just like, who knows, maybe I'll go back into esports at some point, but right now I think I want to still pursue my PhD. It's been a fun journey so far.
So pretty much it's on the shelf for now.
It's a little bit behind the shelf. It's
Okay.
how you have like your front facing books and then you have like those books that you like just kind of like stack up. It's like one of those books that I have stacked up where it's like, if I can move the book at some point, but I like my shelves right now. I like how my shelves are set up.
I got you. Next question. Did you always imagine yourself doing creative work internationally?
No, I've always been like a big traveler because my family moved so much. But it wasn't until like I guess getting accepted to the college and then like it becoming more and more a reality that I'll be going overseas. I don't even think I really like it didn't set in that I was going to be like a creative overseas or that I would be someone who's living overseas until I lived there for like probably a month. Because like that first month you're living there, you're also worried about like getting your Navigo set up. So like, how am I getting to and from? How do I even get on the metros? Can I find a job out here to work for a little bit? I found my internship, and then like understanding the language. So like for the first month, it took me like a hot minute to like, I guess, get adjusted to my new settings. But even before that, like moving from Maryland to Florida for undergrad, that was even like a kind of a step for me because it was like, oh, I'm moving away from like my brother and sister, and like now I'm living in like a smaller college town. Like I have to get myself up. So I guess the step to moving international was just it was a completely different step and that I didn't really see coming, but I was happy for the opportunity, and I would recommend anyone else who's like thinking about doing some international work or like going overseas to like give it a try. The worst that happens is like, just move back.
Okay. That's I know you had to do like there was probably some steps you had to take in order to like get from point A to point B. Maybe there was like something you had to figure out on your own, like, hey, what is it that I'm trying to do? Like, there's a lot of steps involved. You just gotta take one day at a time with that, if I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, like I would say like a big part of that, like if you're talking about like the process itself of going overseas, the visa process, like I wasn't like alone per se because like I had the like visa people who could help me out, but a large part of that is just you having to like make appointments and like having to go to and fro to different places. So I had to go to Atlanta uh, for like a day. It was like a whole day trip. I had to go to Atlanta, took a plane over there, uh, and that was only like one part of like a 4 to like 5 parts process for just that one segment.
Yeah.
So like it can be really difficult when you're doing all that, but like it's important that you have like good support systems. So like I had a bunch of friends at the time that like could support me and like would talk to me and like help me do this background research and like would help me kind of calm down. I think it's really important to like take breaks and rest when you're going through any type of like international process, because you end up getting like you could just get so burnt out before you even arrive. Like the whole summer process, I remember just working on my visa that I had like no time to relax before even getting into the summer program. And so then, like I was saying, like that first month you're there, you're still in that mindset of like worry of like what else you need to do. So like take your breaks, understand that it's gonna be a minute before you can like really settle into the new country. But it's all right.
Yeah, I agree. So next section, what inspired the move to Paris? Was it career related or something more personal? Or is it both?
A little bit of both. So when I finished my undergrad degree, I was really focused on the strategic communication part of it. And what I had always been told and like what I observed was that like American education is very much centered in like understanding American like mannerisms or like how Americans do things or like how Americans use the digital networks. And so with my thesis that I thought of when I was an undergrad and like took it to Paris was that I want to place it into like a more international context of
Mm-hmm.
things. So like my thesis focuses around Black Lives Matter, but like if I'm just an American writing about Black Lives Matter, it doesn't help bring like an international context of like why did the Black Lives Matter move to social media and like what other organizations or like what other movements have done that in the past. And so like I want to get more of like an in-depth understanding of my topic, and I didn't think that I would find that in the United States. There's a few colleges that I applied for that were like they looked good, but at the end of the day, having that opportunity to go abroad, practice my French, and like just like not dissolve, but like involve myself in another culture. What is it? Being able to like embrace another culture and like see a totally different perspective was I think it was a big like part of like who I am now and who I am today. I think I learned a lot while overseas.
That's interesting because I know some like people like across the globe who does know all about the BLM movement. There are a lot like not just here. There's other countries who are like experience the same type of situation. Maybe like London, England, or Africa or Italy. But it's nice that some people are understanding like the mission of how we want people to be treated the way we want to be treated. Pretty much in that like perfect storm scenario.
Yeah, like the France and both United Kingdom both have their own Black Lives Matter movement going at the same time. Even like small segments of China were participating, and like it's interesting seeing how like China participated because they didn't have like we don't share social networks with like there's not a lot of overlap in social networks between China and the United States, but when there is overlap, we talked about or like what the movements, the two separate movements talked about was like here's some of the things that we do to like kind of get around like police who are crashing down protests. So like, here's some kind of gear that you should wear. Here's the things that you should think about when you attend these protests. But it's interesting seeing the international solidarity when like Black Lives Matter pops up or any other type of movement kind of happens. You see a lot of international solidarity that the American media doesn't really cover that well.
And lately, mainstream media has kind of been a little fuzzy these days. Like, you can't trust any of the networks at this point. And you have a lot of journalists who have been fired by some of these networks now. And some of them have their own shows. Like, Don Lemon, he has a show. Joanne Reed, she had her show for like 3 weeks now, and so far it's blowing up. These are like, basically, they became independent journalists. Where the networks kicked them off, they decided to do their own thing, create their own talk shows. Just like I'm doing now, doing these podcast episodes with you guys, talking about your life experiences. I mean, of course, it can be about anything, because the main thing of my the main goal of my podcast is to talk with people, like business people, creators, anime people, tattoo artists, illustrators, writers, and coming up soon, I'm about to have a conversation with voice actors too and talk about their experience in animation and stuff. Because I have been in contact with 2 of them, and they said they'd be down to talk to me.
Oh, that'd be cool. I like the idea of the podcast, where you're just meeting people at different walks of life and like asking them what their experiences are. And research, we kind of call it like ethnography work. Of course, like ethnography work takes like a longer time to participate in, but it's interesting hearing like that's kind of like what podcasts are today. And like it's cool that podcasts have become so mainstream, because at the time it was like, oh, like you're a podcaster, blah, blah, blah. But like it's kind of replacing radio. And so like to hear what you're doing, like how you are interviewing people and just asking them, how they got to where they are, and like what do they look forward to, stuff like that. It's cool. This is great ethnography.
Oh yeah, because I want to talk to them, because we want to talk about their hobbies and everything, and we just talk about life in general. Pretty much something like that. Because thing is, I started this whole thing because I've taken a break from doing photography for a bit. I just had a mishap with the last one I did. And I had to put photography back on the shelf for a little while. So I had to think to myself and brainstorm, like, okay, what else can I use out of my playbook? There's plenty of stuff that I can do. So I was like, hey, I've been back when I was in college, I was good at interviewing people. So I was like, well, shoot, maybe I should start a podcast. And so far it's been going great. First one I did was with Brianna. I think you know Brianna. Yeah. So it blew up to 1,000 views.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, I guess I better keep doing it and have these conversations. Yeah. So it seems like the right thing to do. But anyway, let's go on to the next one. What were your biggest culture shocks or surprises when you first arrived in Paris?
I don't know, because like there's a few, but like there's nothing that like really was like super major. I would say like one was like their value of like food and time. So like setting aside time to actually sit down and eat, because like you can be in a restaurant for like hours when you're eating, and you're just spending that time like truly like talking one-on-one with a friend. And like I've had that experience, like you and me have gone out to eat before, but it's not the same where it's like we sit there for like maybe an hour and then they start rushing us to pay the bill. No, you like if you don't call the waiter over to pay your bill, like you can sit there for as long as you really want or need, and they'll come over and check on you from time to time. But there's so much less of a pressure to do anything when I was living in France around like food and sitting down. I guess another one was like how good the metro system was. I had never lived in like a place where I can just like hop on the metro to go from one place to another. Mm-hmm. But like for the most part, it was relatively safe. I had no problems on there. I think I only saw like one fight really. Not to say like there's no problems with the metro system, but I would say it does well, and they have bus systems as well. So like you end up just being out all day, all night. I guess that's another thing, is that like clubbing over there is so much different than the United States, because you start pre-gaming at like 12 and then you don't really end until like 6 or 7, maybe 8 depending on some days. uh but yeah, those are, I guess, just a few of the culture shocks I had while like living over there. I'm sure there's a bunch more. So I was there for the Olympics and that was weird. Like not weird, but it was like I didn't realize how much was going on with the Olympics, I guess. Like of course there's a lot, but to see it in person, like to see like how they like there's barricades around my house for some days because there was like there was the opening march and I ended up missing that because it was raining and I was like I didn't want to go out. But like I had to get like a pass and then I had to let people in and the police were there and it was just like that for like almost the entire summer. Was just like a high presence of just like both police barricades. Like getting around Paris at the time was just so much harder than like that previous like semester that I was there. Those previous 2 semesters I was there. uh but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, different, different countries, with rules they don't apply to where we are right now. Yeah, every set of every country we go to, there's bound to be like different ways of life that we have to regulate by. There's different sets of rules, regulations. Sometimes when we go to a new place, we have to figure out, okay, well, let's just take it all in and try to adapt to these new rules that they're putting in place. I mean, it may seem overwhelming at first, but at least we'll know how to adapt and navigate through it, well, one step at a time.
There was a professor in Jordan who taught me. He said like for like it was for a lot of people, there was like their first time traveling outside the country. And he was like, when you're traveling, like there's 2 things you can really do. Like when you visit a country, you can either like embrace the culture and like traditions and like try to like immerse yourself and try to understand like what their point of view is and like why these kind of laws and everything are there, or you can reject it and just like completely shut yourself off from like even giving yourself the opportunity to like try new things. And like he was mainly speaking about like the food at the time, but I think like it's still a pretty like good idea to have when you're traveling, to like try to embrace and immerse yourself instead of like seeing new things that you're not used to or like seeing new things that you haven't tried and just instantly being like, no, I don't do that. Like give everything a little try.
Yeah, I agree with the professor too. You gotta, yeah, listen. You only lose yourself in it if you let it. You
Yeah.
you gotta figure out how to, embrace the culture because you may learn something and learn a lot from the people who've been there for years. And trust me, you'll want to do that.
And
Um,
getting perspective,
yeah,
it's a big thing. It's a thing that like not a lot of people can get, you know what I mean? And so like if you go overseas, like that's a perfect place to like see what's a different walk of life instead of just seeing like, you know, same thing you see every day.
that's true. Same thing when I was in Mexico, like the last 5 days. I had to learn how they operate too. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that was there. So it's a good thing because I haven't been back to Mexico in like 9 years ago when I was back in 2016. But so much has changed in the last 9 years when I went there this last weekend.
Word.
So,
Like what?
well, the technology's gone up, so there's that. But
Yeah.
there's like a lot of places I didn't know existed,
Mm-hmm.
so I just never got a chance to go there.
What part of Mexico were you in?
I was in Cancun.
Oh, okay.
So, it's really nice. Go check it out sometime. It's really good.
I think I've been.
So,
Possibly. I've been to like 2 different parts. I know I've been to. I feel like I have been to Cancun, but I think there's another part that I've been to that was really nice. I want to go to Mexico City. That's on my to go list.
make it happen. So, how has living abroad shaped your identity or outlook?
Uh oh, that's a deep question. I think that it helped me understand. Like I don't know if it was like me living abroad or if it was more so me just like aging well abroad. But I feel like I learned a lot about myself, and I think I found more of like what what are the core values that I have? Like, what do I really like care about? Who are the people that I care most about? Uh, and I used to have really bad, like before leaving St. Augustine, I think I had like really bad like anxiety and like going out in public and like people seeing me and like people thinking something of me. But then when I moved to Paris, everyone was just kind of like, it doesn't matter who you are. You're like, they just did not like rock with you like that. And so like it was almost like a realization moment that I had while living abroad that like I'm so caught up in like how I'm being perceived and like how other people might be perceiving me. But like I'll probably never see a lot of those people who like I might have fucked up their day and like never thought anything of it, or like they fucked up my day and I never said anything of it. Uh, so it's like I guess I just found more peace in knowing that like you can just keep pushing really. Uh, we get too caught up. Like I remember there's one time I think like it clicked for me in this exact moment where I was on the train and I was trying to get off, but it was like so crowded, and like I'm scrunched up like this, and like I have to like kind of push my way off, and like I hear the door start to close, and like I don't know what my reaction was, but it was like I just went, and like people like turned around and looked at me, and I was like, and I had to like run off the train, but then I was like the door shut, and I looked around, nobody paid attention to me, and I was like, oh, you know. I doubt that's going to be the weirdest part of their day. Like there's probably going to be at least 5, 6 more. Probably not even the weirdest part of their week. So it's fine. But yeah, I guess I just kind of like dropped my self consciousness when I moved abroad.
I understand, Listen, it does, sometimes we get, weirded out when we go to a new place. But when you come back, it's like, okay, this shaped me into a better person than I was before. I'm a better version of myself than I was last time. But now, through that experience, I've learned so much that I can apply for like future references.
Yeah. What's the saying? It's like no man walks into the same Nile twice, for the Nile has changed, and the oh no, it's a river. It's like no man has walked through the same river twice because the man has changed and the river has changed too.
Oh, yes, I agree. I like that quote. It's really good.
Yeah, I like it too. Keep changing.
Got it. All right, I'm moving on to the next part. What kinds of creative work are you most passionate about right now?
Uh, I don't even know if I would say it's like creative work, but like I've been seeing more people lump it with creative work. It's like journalism. I like journalism. I think it's like, especially like you were saying, like these big networks are kind of like start to fall down on like independent journalism and uh like people who write for like much smaller like organizations, like local organizations are starting to like really see that like okay, like wow, like customers are coming to me and like they want to hear more of what I have to say. And I feel like journalism kind of takes a more like why I would lump it in with creative is that you're almost like you're just a writer at that point. Like you're using storytelling skills to tell a story of what happened, who, what, why, where, when. Uh, and so like that's why like I guess during my internship with World Crunch and like my editorial work, I start to see that like okay, like this is creative work, just not like when I think of creative work, especially in the past, I think I would have thought more of like my photography or like some of the videography stuff I've done.
Hmm.
But I think
Yeah.
journalism and like the creativeness of writing has changed how I perceive a lot. I even started dipping into some poetry, but this I want to call myself a poet. I'm more of like I'm a poe. I write a little something something, then never get back to it.
Yeah. I would say just do whatever works for you. I know lately, okay, like with me, I'm into a lot of comics and everything and, like these conventions, but I also know that, hey, even when I go to these things, I'm also telling a story too.
Yeah.
Like, for the like I said, for the last few months, I've been making some trips to stores. I got a GoPro camera now.
Nice.
So I've been taking that everywhere I go. So I just started to record like all the adventures I go on. So basically, that's kind of like me doing my own journalism thing. Maybe, talk to people, interactions or anything. Because thing is, I put a few videos up on my YouTube page. I put like my first video called Interactions with Voice Actors. I finally recorded my interactions with voice actors for the first time. They're really good. I've been doing like, analysis on like conventions and stuff. But guess what? I just like, even if I'm doing that, I guess I am putting out my own version of my story out there.
Yeah.
But still, I want to make sure that I'm still happy about it because me myself, I'm actually about to be done with my cybersecurity certificate program.
Good
So
job.
I was like, well, shoot, maybe I can still do that stuff. I mean, I gotta have
Yeah.
a career to fund all the cool stuff I'm doing, of course, but
Yeah.
it's a work in progress. I'm not trying to like look. I'm not trying to do any like clout chasing or anything. Thing is, I want to. One thing I did watch was important. I think do you remember Josh Brolin who was Thanos in Avengers: Infinity War?
Yeah.
I watched a little TED talk from him. He was saying like this profession, this day of age. 9 times out of 10, actors want to figure out how to be famous. Whereas back in the day, it was all about paying your dues.
What does he mean by that?
So I think what he means by that, he was saying, and like, don't just do acting and stuff just for like the fame of it. Do it because you have the love in the art.
Okay.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much what we're saying. Like, don't, because here's the thing: most people I know today who are creating stuff, they mostly want to be seen or stand out. Look, I learned that the hard way when I was in college with you guys. I think what happened was I was so focused on standing out and trying to be like, hey, I know that guy, but I forgot what I was really supposed to be there doing.
Mm.
So I think now that I've come to like a certain age, I'm about to be 20, I've gotten more wiser and mature now that I started to understand. I wanted to do these videos now and these stories, like talking to you guys, because I want to do it because of the art and creativity of it. I'm also doing this because there's more to life than what we're actually doing here. That's why I'm talking about your life experiences,
Yeah.
perspectives. These might help people understand. Just do whatever makes you feel happy, but don't lose yourself in it. If you see
Well,
where I'm coming from.
yeah, I see. I was gonna ask you, like, what do you think is like your new art or like creative outlet that you're doing now? Would you say it's the podcast?
So far, it's the podcast right now because this is something new that I'm doing. Because, like I said before, I'm taking a break from doing the photography for a while because I had a
Mm.
mishap with the last one. So, but I'll explain that at a later date to you later. But yeah, everything was But yeah, I decided to like just I've throughout college I have been good at interviewing. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at interviewing people too. That's what I did for my one of my senior projects for media production. I went out, did like a documentary. Documentaries are kind of like cool too.
I like doing documentaries. They take a lot of time and energy, but I definitely want to get back into making some documentaries. Maybe like now that I'm done with my like finishing up my thesis and stuff, I might get back into like making some videos. Now that, like there's just so much more free time when you're not dealing with like classes, schoolwork, assignments, readings.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Modeling.
And the other thing too is last 9 years. Wait, no, last 6 years I've been doing video game walkthroughs. So I decided to, because I know y'all don't want to see me playing games all the time. So I just did something different, doing these podcast episodes now where I talk to people and understand like their experiences.
I
So,
told you what kind of content I want to see from you.
huh?
Do you remember what it was? I said I told you the kind of content I wanted to see from you. Do
Yeah,
you remember
I remember.
what was it?
I'm trying to think what it was. Maybe
Uh,
doing like an analysis on the game or something.
yeah, like just like video game updates and like pop culture updates, like anything that's within the anime video game realm. I thought you would be like really dope. Like I like when you send me or like when you post stuff on your story. But like if you were just reading off like here's what's happening this week, I thought would be cool. But
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting into that later this year, probably like around on September, because maybe after I turn 25, I might do that for my birthday.
nice
So, but yeah, but
content.
like you say, I am doing something new. I might put that into consideration because I'm also thinking about because I sent out a few emails already to some of the voice actor agencies. So I'm trying to interview AJ Beckles. He's a voice actor from Dawn to Dawn. So he told me just him up on his email, and he'll be able. He was actually in Florida back in June.
Is that where you like met him?
Yeah, Bow, Missouri. That's where I was.
Nice.
So yeah, so I sent a few emails out. So far, it's only AJ Beckles and Emily Neves. I got plans to interview them. So it's just a work in progress because sometimes the emails do take a long time to respond. But I'm trying to at least do a few before this year is over.
No,
So
you should.
so we'll see what happens. But it's a work in progress. Um. All right, let's go on to the next section. Sorry if I ran it too long. I think we're just, like I said, we're trying to have these nice conversations.
I think that's what makes a good podcast. Is just conversation between two people.
Exactly.
If you want, like, you can cut it up, you can post it on.
Yeah. So next is going to be like your digital and global perspective. How has your international experience changed how you view communication or storytelling?
Uh, I would say that because of my first like semester, there was like this one class I took, uh, and it really changed like how I view like philanthropy. Like when I first came to Paris, another idea that I wanted to do was that like, oh, like I want to start my own like PR agency for philanthropy. But like after taking this class on philanthropy and like specifically we called it digital colonialization, where it's like these companies like Facebook, Google will go into like countries like I think it was India that Facebook went into, and they put them behind a what we call the digital paywall. Or no, it's like the digital garden, and you can only really use Facebook. Like you can't, it doesn't connect you to the internet. But the way that Facebook was framing it was that you can connect to, like you can connect to Google. You can help out local shop owners and like buy things from them. That's how they portrayed it to the outer world. That's how they portrayed it to India. But what they really did was like you can only open up the Facebook app and talk to people within that very small frame of reference. You can add friends, you can message other people, but you can't really, connect with the outside world. But almost every company was doing it. And what they were doing was they would install these like towers and like all this Wi-Fi throughout the world for free.
Yeah.
But they would make almost all of that money like directly back because they're the sole people who hold on to those people's data. So I think in Africa, I think it was Google had one, and they had the same issue where they I can't remember which African country it was, but they just kind of, if you look at the ad and like the way that they portray it, it really changed my perspective on like storytelling and advertisements with like philanthropy or like like I already didn't trust like company philanthropy, but yeah. I didn't know that it ran this deep into like a new age of colonialization.
Wow. That's interesting because I know some of the companies that we use today, they all have their pros and cons. So it may seem positive, but then next thing you know, something bad might happen to it. We just don't know until it happens. But mostly with these companies, I like to do a little bit of deep diving and more research. Lately, when I encounter something new or go somewhere, I like to do a lot of research. Like, okay, so what are the pros and cons of this particular company or area or some kind of like, new product that's coming out? Thing is, I don't think most people like the thing that makes me upset the most these days, like if something's new, like, do you guys take the time out of your day to go and research it? No, they just run with it. Like, come on.
Like that's what it's hard to be a conscious consumer today because a lot of companies are fucked up. But it's important to take the time and look at like if you are about to invest in something like you were saying, you have a new Rode mics. It doesn't take too long to just look at like what are some of the controversies that Rhodes has had and like what are they, I guess it's definitely harder to be like, oh, what are they hiding? But you can look at like where do they stand on some issues? Like what did they say about the Black Lives Matter movement? What have they said about Palestine and Israel? Uh, you can look at stuff like that and then make an informed decision as a buyer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, before I purchase something, I make sure because lately, and I agree with everything you just said. So I'm just trying to make sure, because all the stuff that I've been getting lately from these stores, these digital stores, like, listen to me, is you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
There was one body cam that I had first, but it was like $19. It wouldn't even like work with the thing at all because it was kind of hard to use. So I had to put that away and just like do my actual research because I got too excited that I wasn't focused. So what I had to do was, because after I left the last convention in February, I was like, okay, what else am I missing here? So I had to do research for the last like 30 days until March.
Mm,
So I realized people were using GoPro cameras these days.
yeah.
So I got the latest one they had, which was the Hero Black 13, the Pro Hero Black 13, which shoots up to at least 4K to 5K video.
Nice.
And so far, it's been working great so far. I've been getting a good footage. You'll check that out on my YouTube channel later, but it's pretty good. But I think mostly, because I know, because I went to some of the stores like Best Buy. They had like these Rode microphones, so I had to ask them questions. And then before I did a purchase, I went back home and did some research before I just came back 2 days later to go check it out.
Yeah.
So isn't the only one I'm using to speaking to you right now. I have another set. It's called like the Rode mini microphones, basically for like on the go stuff, or basically just recording a short video. That way I ain't got to set up. I'm using this one for like at home interviews.
Yeah.
So this one's the wireless Go 2. Now I might get the Pro wireless, but I need to do some research before I just go ahead and get another set of microphones to my collection. But so far this one's working perfectly.
Nice.
It's just, but yeah, I think the main thing is you gotta make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into before you just do. You know, just think before you do something.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, just look into like where they stand on issues and make an informed decision on your behalf. Or like, is that something that you would like to help fund?
Especially if you're doing like all the new stuff with like the Palestine and Gaza. Of course, if you're going to be doing stuff like that, make sure you have everything you need. So,
Yeah.
um, let's think. Did you find more freedom or challenges working in another country?
Mm, I would say it's kind of hard to compare because I hadn't worked an editorial job before.
Mm-hmm.
But like before that, I had worked marketing. So it's like it's apples and oranges, but you can still compare apples to oranges. But I would say like I like that I get like an hour long lunch break compared to like I think when I was working at Coach at the time, it was like it depends on how many hours I was working. So like 8 hours, I get 45 minutes. 6 hours is 35 minutes.
Right.
But like it doesn't matter how much I'm working that day. I'm just working a straight. Sometimes I only do like 3 or 4 hours, and then I can just go for like an hour lunch. And I'm supposed to like subtract it from my paycheck, but I just didn't do that. And then like at the end of the month, they would just ask me how many hours I worked, and I would just send in total hours, and they would convert it into my next paycheck. So I guess it was like a little bit more relaxed, but Lincolnville was pretty relaxed too when I was working there. I think they just didn't have as much staff as the editorial position I had.
Okay. All right. So pretty much it wasn't like it was still the same thing, basically like back here now. So nothing much changed for you.
Yeah, I think if I had a CDD or CDI, which is like a contract in France, I think they would say a much different story because you get like I know like my friend Emma, she has she has a lot more vacation days than I will have in the United States. I think we only have like 10 days, maybe 5, maybe 10. Uh, but I want to say I don't know how many days she gets, but I know that like almost all of France goes on vacation for a month. But I can't remember which month it was. But yeah,
Right. So pretty much different area, but same tough rules, kind of, sort of.
kinda, yeah,
Okay. Pretty much anywhere you go, you just gotta be ready for the fallout.
yep.
So,
Yep.
but hey, it's gonna work itself out in the end. So, what do you wish more digital creatives understood about working globally?
I guess how their messages comes across to other people. Like a message that you put out in the United States isn't gonna ring the same as like to someone who lives in France or to someone who lives in the United Kingdom, or to someone who lives in like the Middle East, like Egypt or Jordan, or to someone who lives in Africa or someone who lives in like Asia's. It just like I guess they just need to be more mindful of like when you're making content for an international audience, just be mindful of like all the different like who what markets you're excluding, and when you are excluding those markets, like why are you excluding those markets? Uh, I guess that's talking more in like a like marketing and communication manner than a like I guess just a content creator who's just like it depends. Like, are we talking about like a funny, like silly upload video? Or are we talking about like,
Well,
oh,
we're
like I
just
want to reach like the entire world with this message?
well, I'm just saying like in general, but I know there's probably some things that might come off as offensive. Well, okay, yes, just pretty much like in general, but because I'll give you one example. Like some people may operate different, like in other countries. Like take Japan for example. They said it's rude to tip people.
Yeah.
So just got to keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm just talking about just in general. It could be anything. But me, I just like to be on the more creative side than political side. But let's go in general. What's your thought on that? What's your take on that?
You like I said, like you just have to be mindful of like what imageries and like what wording you're using, and like how is that going to come across to the people that like are in the other on the other side of the world, you know? Uh, but yeah, because like a lot of times, like I guess with like American ads, they just don't translate well, or like sometimes like foreign ads coming into the United States just don't translate well, and that we're like, I don't get it. Like I just don't get it. And so I think if you're like a content creator and you use like I'll say like using like a bunch of like American AAVE or like any type of like slang is not gonna really help the international community understand like whatever content you're trying to put out. So you have to be like mindful that like if you're putting out content, like if I'm a content creator and I'm trying to help French citizens move to the United States, if I use a bunch of like AAVE or slang,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm not reaching my audience because they won't know what I'm saying. They haven't been taught that. They haven't moved to the United States to know what I'm saying yet. So you have to be mindful that like, okay, let me slow down how I speak. Let me use proper English, like very proper English,
Right.
to the point where it's like I'm speaking almost like a like British royal person, because that's the type of that's this that's the type of English they're learning, the same way that we're learning the type of French that like is very like old, you know. Like if I was going into like an old person's home, I could speak a little bit more French than like I don't know as much as French slang.
Okay. Yeah, cause thing is, and I know overlaying to that situation, there have been a lot of people here in the U.S. who've been going to other countries and they've been offered jobs for teaching English to other people.
Yeah,
And I know, like right now, Japan is offering people the job to teach English to Japanese students so they can learn English. Not only that, there's also people in China, Singapore, Italy, Mexico. I know there's a few places in Mexico. I don't know if I've been down there
I
because
think it's almost all over the world that if because it's at least like with the you know how the passports have that like square with the circle in the middle.
yeah, definitely.
I can't remember what it's called though. It's like Schrodinger's zone. I think if you're within those zones, like you most likely have a opportunity to teach English abroad that the government pays for. Uh, but I heard like it doesn't pay a lot too, and it doesn't make progress towards your visa. At least in France, that's what I've been told. Is that it if you uh, do the like 1 year studying abroad or teaching abroad, then it won't add up to like you need 5 years to live in France, and if you don't live that 5 years in France, then you can't apply for your visa.
That's true. And like me, I'm trying to get one. I'm trying to get my visa ready for next year because when I go to Japan. But first, there's a few things I gotta wrap up. I want to make sure I know, well, like, because I want to go there first before I just
Yeah,
pack up everything and just go there for a few years, see how it is. Because I want to know what it's like before I just move there. And listen, before it's not always animation and stuff. You gotta make sure you have a job first. So just make sure you take just make sure you know how to like how different areas operate because you want to make sure, hey, this is how they operate. I know everything. Keep a journal or something. That way won't be able to lose any information that you might need.
yeah.
So.
Or just take like a leap of faith. If you're moved to like a city, you can just research it and just like jump right in. But like, it's definitely much better to at least visit the place first and like look around, see what you like about it, what you don't like about it.
I got you. We're getting close to the end here, so buckle up. What's a lesson you've learned abroad that changed your outlook?
I think I already talked about it. It was just like my self consciousness. I think that like being abroad and seeing how much like different life was and how like nobody really seemed to care about my day to day.
Oh,
It changed my perspective on like, okay, maybe I'm like I see myself as too self important when it doesn't really matter.
true. Okay, well, how do you stay inspired?
How do I stay inspired?
Hmm.
I think about the civil rights movement a lot, weirdly enough. But I think about like the Black Panthers. I think about like how much they went through a lot harder times than I would say I'm going through. And so if they're able to do that, then like I feel like I'm able to continue pushing myself to keep working hard. Uh, I guess I just think about like all the people who helped me get to where I am now.
Okay. Do you any personal habits or routines that keep you grounded creatively or anything?
They keep me grounded, creative, making silly TikToks. That's full of just weird like it's even just me playing like little games or like I made like one of my cat the other day. But I think like having the opportunity to like sorry about that noise. Having the opportunity to just like creatively use my camera, my iPhone camera, and just see what I can put out keeps me in line with like what I want to do later on, which is like still play around with cameras and take pictures and take videos.
Okay, it's cool. Cool, very cool. Because hey, funny stuff always makes you feel better, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
I'm a silly goose at the end of the day.
I gotcha. Any advice for other creatives thinking about moving abroad or exploring global opportunities?
I would say stay focused, learn the language, uh, and connect with your audience. You know, like if you're overseas, like talk to the people that you're making the content for, and like I guess ask them like what are they interested in you making. Get an understanding of like what differences and perspectives you guys might have, because within all like I like to think of it like this: like there's overlap in cultures with any culture you go to, but you got to find like this part of it of that Venn diagram, like the part where they haven't seen that part of like America living. So like talk about your differences. Talk about like what is it like living in Japan versus living in the United States. And that's just like an easy first video that you can make if you're interested in stuff like that. But you can like you can find content abroad easily. It's just more so like what kind of content you want to do. Even just like stuff like trying out food in the city that like other influencers have talked about. That'll give you a nice chance to like talk about like being an influencer and like being a tourist versus being like a traveler. Uh, I can't remember his name. Anthony Bourdain, I think, said that like when you're traveling, like don't be a tourist, be a traveler. And I think it's important that like as content creators, like you see yourself as a traveler and not just like a tourist in this area. Like you try to immerse yourself in this culture. You try to like put out things that better the locals, but instead of like gentrifying. hands down. Like you want to make sure that you're actually telling the story of the people who live there and not the people who are just moving there.
Right. Like I said, I told everyone here, everybody has a story to tell. Just make sure it makes sense and know who you're telling it to. Make sure you tell it to the right people who want to hear more
Make
of
sure that,
this.
sorry, not to cut you off, but I think also like not that like it makes sense to the like make that makes sense to the people you're telling it to, but make sure that it makes sense to the people who like are telling you the story. Because I think that like sometimes reporters and like content creators are so rushed to get content out there that they don't actually care about what the message this person is trying to tell them and that what their message is that they're trying to get out. And so I think it's important that like we look at like when you're interviewing people, like what is it that they're trying to tell while you're also trying to help them tell that story. As a content creator, my goal would be, or my goal is, like I want to tell the story of the person I'm talking to or like the thing that I'm describing. uh you get the opportunity to like hear their in-depth responses, but they don't have that like content creator like creative mind to put it together, or they don't have the opportunity to put it together. And so like you have that unique opportunity to help them tell that story specifically. And I think that's what's beautiful about content creation and art. So yeah.
That was a lot to unpack there. I think everybody's gonna like that response, especially. Here's the thing. I just been telling everybody, do whatever makes you happy. If you want to go to the art side, sure. If you want to go to like, if you want to go to like the cosplaying side, political, whatever it is you want to do, make sure this is what you really want, and make sure if it makes you feel happy. Mostly myself, like I said, myself, of course. Now I'm mostly on the creative side of things. I'm staying out of the stuff that I don't want to do, which is like political stuff. I like to keep it like fresh and friendly because it's a never-ending battle with that section because it never ends. Where does it end? It's like the bottom of the abyss. You just can't see the bottom. But like I said, I be telling people whatever works for you, as long as it makes you happy.
Exactly.
And then also, where can people follow your work or connect with you?
They can check me out at Spence the Ninja. If you could like put like a little banner or something up there on Instagram. That's mainly where I post stuff. I need to get better at you posting other things. Sorry, the lawn people are here.
It's okay. It's okay. I understand. So they just go check out Insta. They can check out all your stuff like your TED Talks or anything else. It's right that. So you guys want to check him out? Check out. Go to his Instagram called Spence the Ninja. I'll put the link in my bio later, but
One second.
at the bottom of this video, so you'll be able to see it. So, but yeah. So I guess this wraps it up. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I hope this helps out some. Hopefully this will help out a few people.
Sorry, what?
I'm saying thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Oh, no problem.
So
Thank you
hopefully this will help a lot of people. But yeah, I'm going to continue to have these conversations. Probably going to have another one coming up soon. So hope everyone tunes in for that. But yeah. Anyway, you heard it from. This is Spence Hooker. Make sure you go check out his stuff. All right. All right. Check you later.